you are right now because he is joining us from sunny Southern California. And I wish I could be there because for our YouTube live streamers, you're seeing it's game day, opening day of the NFL season at the recording of this episode. And yes, I am a lifelong San Diego Chargers fan. But you've joined us for this episode as we get ready to talk about all things Grand Lodge of Lebanon with most worshipful Raffy Timonian. Welcome to the Craftsman Online podcast.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Now, we met at the Grand Masters Gala at the past New York Grand Lodge session. I've seen you there in many capacities as the founding Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Lebanon. We'll talk a little bit about that. But also, just right off the bat, your title is so fun. You're the first Grand Chancellor I've ever met. And your reply was, really? You've never met another one of us? So kind of explain to our listener how that works.
It's not a title that is used by U.S. Grand Lodges, so to speak. It's mostly used by European, even South American Grand Lodges. It is basically it's usually held by a past Grandmaster, and it is mostly dedicated to establish and keep and run the relationship that the Grand Lodge you are representing has with the other Grand Lodges in the world. So I'm the one who travels. I'm the one who participates in conventions and communications. I'm the one who nurtures the relationship of the Grand Lodge of Lebanon vis-a-vis the other Grand Lodges in the world.
Okay. And as I mentioned, very accessible. I would encourage any New York brother that's attending our next Grand Lodge session, walk right up, say hi to this guy. He's super friendly and wants to tell you all of the wonderful things about the Grand Lodge of Lebanon, because I think this may come as a surprise. There's a lot of brothers, and I would count myself as one of them. I didn't know about the Grand Lodge of Lebanon until I went to our Grand Lodge session and saw the delegation that was there and started hearing about this story. So let's talk about this. The roots. How did you go about founding the Grand Lodge, and why the Grand Lodge of New York?
Uh, you want me to give you a little history of Freemasons in Lebanon?
Yeah.
That, like to go back, it's like to 1892, for example.
Oh wow!
All right, so here I'm gonna have to read. So I won't miss anything. So 1891, the Grand Orient of Egypt. Believe it or not, there was a Grand Orient in Egypt. Okay. Which itself was chartered by the UGLE, United Grand Lodge of England. They chartered a lodge called Phoenicia Lodge, which was then shut down due to pressure by the Ottoman authorities. Remember, in those days, we were under the Ottoman Empire. The whole area was. In the year 1900, Grand Lodge of Scotland, who had lodges in the Levant already, they had lodges in Jordan, in Palestine, and elsewhere. So they chartered their first lodge called Peace Lodge, number 908, in Lebanon, in the year 1900. In the year 1924, the Grand Lodge of New York established their first two lodges, Syro-American Lodge 1901 and New York Lodge 1902. Now, why? Lebanon hosts one of the oldest universities, American universities, outside the continental USA, which is called the American University of Beirut. That was designed for boys, AUB, that's what we call it. And then they established another one for women. It was called BCW, Beirut College for Women. Okay. Now, naturally, the names changed. AUB still is AUB. Now it's no longer boys only. It attracts people from the whole Mediterranean basin. It's one of the most competitive and the highest respected universities in the whole Mediterranean basin, including Europe. And BCW recently became LAU, Lebanese American University. Same thing. They have a lot of common professors, common programs, common stuff like that. So people who were already Masons, who were either the dean or professors who were at the AUB, those are the people who started the first lodge. The first lodge was under New York. Mind you, in 1924, the charter was signed. So which means that these people started their work way before that. Remember, there was no fax, no email, right? So everything had to be done by a letter that was carried from Lebanon all the way to New York in a boat, and God knows how long that took. So back and forth for it to be approved, back and forth to be under dispensation, back and forth to be a charter. So the charter was signed in 1924. Syrio-American Lodge speaks in English. They created another one called New York Lodge 1902 that operated in Arabic. All right. So that's the history of the New York lodges. That's how far they go. In 1952, in an effort to govern its lodge affairs, the Grand Lodge of Scotland created two superintendent positions, one governing their lodges in Jordan and Palestine, and another governing their lodges in Syria and Lebanon. In 1955, and this is very important, 1955, New York had enough lodges in Lebanon that they actually needed a body to govern those lodges to make decisions that pertain to the area a bit quicker than waiting for a letter that would take months to go back and forth. So they created what we call the District Grand Lodge of Syria Lebanon, which still exists. Okay, the District Grand Lodge of Syria Lebanon. That was chartered in 1955. Now let's get with to the 21st century. So 2010, the Grand Lodge of the District of Columbia, Washington, D.C., created its first lodge. It was called Phoenix Lodge, 1001. Later, and after the creation of the Grand Lodge of Lebanon, the Grand Lodge of D.C. proceeded in chartering Qadmus Lodge 1002 in December of 2018 and Cedars Lodge 1003 in December of 2021. In 2013, the Grand Lodge of Scotland established a district Grand Lodge. So the Scots, from 1952 all the way to 2013, had a superintendent, one gentleman, one brother, who was overseeing the everyday matters that pertain to the lodges. Okay? So in 2013, they created a district Grand Lodge of Lebanon under Scotland with a district Grand Master that actually was in charge of the local stuff. Just like New York did, only New York did it in 1955, Scotland did it in 2013. So on the 24th of October 2018, with no other Grand Lodge as a Grand Lodge being presented in Lebanon, we created the Grand Lodge of Lebanon. We took 3 lodges from the District Grand Lodge of Syria Lebanon, 3 New York lodges, and those lodges are Fakhreddin Lodge, which was chartered in 1926, Shuf Lodge, which was chartered in 1929, and Ani Lodge, which was chartered in 1960. We took those 3 lodges and created the Grand Lodge of Lebanon, and the charter was signed on the 24th of October 2018.
Wow.
So that's the story of the Grand Lodge of Lebanon being created did not ask, or nor will it ask, the regular Grand Lodges that have presentation in Lebanon through their lodges. For example, New York Grand Lodge kept its lodges under its district. Okay, Scotland kept its lodges under its district. So did DC. So we have an understanding. There is no one canceling the other. All of us, I'd like to call Freemasons of Lebanon. Each have a jurisdiction that they belong to. They have to abide by its laws, rules, regulations. But each group has its own flavor, like a bouquet. You know, you can have a red rose bouquet. It's really nice, but you put a little bit of greenery to it, it becomes nicer. You add a little bit more color, it becomes nicer. So Freemasons of Lebanon is this beautiful bouquet that has Masons from Scotland, BC. France actually came into Lebanon late in the game as well in the 2020. They do have 3 lodges right now. Even that adds a little bit of flavor to the bouquet that we call the Freemasons of Lebanon.
Yeah, and thank you for the history, Most Worshipful. It's amazing to hear that Masonry was in that part of the world in the 1800s, and that some of the lodges that are part of our Grand Lodge of New York through the Grand Lodge of Lebanon are almost 100 years old. Like I think that I can hear our listeners' heads just exploding all over New York that did not know the history of this. The other thing that I find so fascinating is that your situation is very similar to here in the United States, where each grand jurisdiction has different ritual. It's the same, but it's presented differently. And so when you visit and travel around the United States, and you've seen this, but you get different versions of the same thing. It's interesting to know that that's going to exist in Lebanon as well.
Oh, it does. It does. So, for example, the Grand Lodge of Lebanon, because we are originally New York Masons, like for example, I am still a New York Mason, and I actually serve the Grand Master of New York as his liaison officer in Lebanon. So we adopted the New York, basically with the permission of Grand Lodge of New York, of course, the ritual. So Scotland has its own. It's a little bit different. France has its own. DC uses emulation in some of their lodges. It's kind of cool. It adds richness. Even the Grand Lodge of Lebanon. So we have one of our lodges. So we are free and accepted. So we are pretty much York right oriented. We have one of our lodges, Adama, that actually operates in the old Scottish Rite ritual.
Oh wow!
Because the Constitution of the Grand Lodge of Lebanon allows the lodges, with the permission of the Grand Master, it allows the lodges to use well-respected and well-accepted rituals that come from regular Grand Lodges. So they took one that came actually from an old, from a French old lodge. We got it from Quebec, Canada, and we worked on it. We made it, we made it a bit Lebanese, of course.
I love that.
And we added our touch, and that's that lodge. It's really fun to go see how they do things.
It's what makes
it adds to the richness of the whole thing.
Yes, the diversity. It's the same idea, but a story that's presented in different ways, and the final product is all still the same thing, which is making good men better. But it's just interesting the different paths they all take to get there. I'm sure the one thing that our listener, who's a New York Mason right now, is sitting here going, "Wait, he just said they do New York ritual in Lebanon. So, if I was to go visit your lodge, it would be set up, presented very similar to what I would see at my home lodge in upstate New York."
Oh, I wouldn't say very similar. It is exactly the same. Exactly the same. So our lodges that operate in different languages, other than Adama, that goes through the Scottish Rite system. The rest of the lodges, if you had a translating machine in your ear, like the new gadgets right now, you would notice that if you are in Ani Lodge that operates in Armenian, or you are in, I don't know, let's say Adonis Lodge that operates in Arabic, or you are in Lebanon number 1 Lodge that operates in English, you will hear pretty much the same words. Not similar, the same words.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome.
That's how it's run.
Yep. And here's the other thing too. As I'd mentioned at the top, like I did not know about the Grand Lodge of Lebanon until the first time I went to a Grand Lodge session. Geez, almost 8 years ago, I want to say, and got a chance to talk to the delegation that was visiting from the Grand Lodge of Lebanon, and was just amazed hearing about the differences, not as far as Freemasonry, but the differences as men living in different parts of the world. And we are all seeking that same thing in Freemasonry, which is light, personal development, growth, purpose, meaning, whatever you want to call it. And it was so inspiring to interact with those brothers. And so I'm curious if there's, through your travels, what conversations or moments that you're like, I couldn't record this, I couldn't take a video of this, I can't take a picture of this, but I can tell the story. What were one of those gems that you carry with you?
The first thing that I encountered, the first question or first remark that I hear in my visits into I don't want to call it strange, but let's say a new Grand Lodge, right? The guys just look at me, they go, I didn't know Lebanon had Freemasons. Aren't you guys like in the Middle East? And then here's what they're thinking. And I know what that means in his mind. All he sees about Lebanon, or what they want him to see about Lebanon, is the political aspect of Lebanon. Meaning what the media wants to show you. War, desert, it's part of it's an Arab country. And they are radical.
Yep.
Excuse me by saying it. Islam radical. ISIS, Qaeda, Nusra, all those things.
Right.
So I let them talk. I go, let me tell you something. Lebanon has no desert. We are a small country that you are on the if you are on the far the southern, the most southern point in Lebanon, and you want to go to the farthest point in the north. If you don't hit traffic, you can do that in less than 2 hours.
Wow.
If you are in Beirut at the farthest point on the Mediterranean, you're actually standing on the sand in the water, and you go to Damascus, another country, right, right across. It's 52 kilometers, 35,
Hmm.
35 miles.
Hmm.
Lebanon is a small country. All it is, it's a range of mountains on the eastern side, another range of mountains on the western side, with a valley in between. We call it the valley of Bekaa Valley. And then right in front of the mountain range, which is on the west side, is a tiny strip of land, some cities very well known biblically, and that's Lebanon.
Mm-hmm.
10,452 kilometers square. Actually, a few kilometers square than San Diego County, since we talked about San Diego. San Diego County is slightly bigger than the country of Lebanon.
Yep.
So you can
Yeah.
be. I don't know if you've heard people saying this, that you can actually be skiing in the morning and then you decide to take a little swim in the afternoon. You can do that in the same day. This is not a slogan, and this is not something that too far fetched from what we do as Lebanese.
Mm-hmm.
We do that all the time.
Yep.
And we have maybe not two, but when I was a child, there was one camel in the whole country, and that was the guy who owned it. He would bring it to town fairs. We have town fairs in the summer, so
Yep.
that the kids will take pictures on the riding the camel.
I appreciate you sharing that because it did a great job of kind of breaking down the stereotypes and the myths. And I'll tell you, I have admitted this. My wife is from Syria. And when we first met, I apologized to her and I was like, I'm sorry if I come off as an ignorant American because I know so little about your people, that part of the world, the culture, the traditions. So one of the first questions right out of my mouth was just assuming that all people from one place must all be the same. I was like, do you consider yourself spiritual, religious? Like, what term do you use? And she's like, oh, no, I'm religious. I'm like, oh, okay. And I was expecting her to say she was Muslim because I just assumed everybody from that part of the world is. And she's like, no, I'm Christian. And I was like, double take. I was like, what? And then she asked me, what are you? And I'm like, well, I'm a Freemason. And like, that's what one of our initial conversations, like right there. So I love that you level set that we come from different places, but we're all going to face the same challenges and we're all going to see the same opportunities in Freemasonry. And that's something I wanted to talk with you about, Grand Chancellor, because your perspective, your insight just really opens up the lens for us. And I know one of the big things that we're working on at the Grand Lodge of New York is our membership and retention issue. It's helping connect men with an interest in Freemasonry to find a lodge in their area and also keep those guys that we have, those brothers on the rolls, active and engaged. What is that like in terms for you at the Grand Lodge of Lebanon, and what ideas are you seeing and what's working for you?
We are very fortunate in Lebanon that we have a lot of young, when I say young, people from their mid 20s all the way to their mid 40s, young, motivated, uh, educated, intellectual is a better word than educated, people who nowadays they have more access to the information and to what Freemasonry is. And if they know how to use their intellect, they would understand what's right and what's wrong. So when they come to us, they already know a lot more than the people who used to come to us 20, 25 years ago or 30 years ago. Or like when I joined. When I joined, it's not a secret, I can tell you, I was so fascinated by Freemasonry when I was 9 years old. And I wanted to become a Mason since I was 9 years old. Would you like me to tell you the story of it?
Oh, I'd love to hear this. I've never heard anybody say at 9 I wanted to be a Mason. Most people are like, I want to be a football player.
We're the family is in the fashion business. So even now, we're in the ladies' fashion business. So my father had this workshop that had different workshops all around, And one of the workshops, the lady who was in charge of the workshops was getting married. So we are in, and she's Armenian, of Armenian origin, like me. And so Armenians are very well, and Lebanese on top of that, we're very well known for our weddings. Our weddings are like 2-3 days, food all the time, stuff like that. So here we are in the night before the wedding. We have this huge party, music, dancing, food, you name it. And then this guy walks in a black suit, in his probably mid 40s, something like that. Comes in, music stops, nobody's dancing anymore, and all of a sudden the place got quiet. He came in, he sat down, and they brought him a drink, and they brought him a plate. Everybody else is serving themselves because it's like a buffet. They brought him a plate already with food on, right? VIP guy.
Mm-hmm.
He ate, he sat there, nobody's doing anything, and then 10 minutes later, he gets up and he leaves. So I asked my mom, I said, was this guy the president? She says, no. Was he like a minister? Who is this guy? She said, oh, no. He is the older brother of Nazo. Nazo is the lady who was getting married. I go, shouldn't he be with us? Because her younger brother was dancing with us. Shouldn't he be with us? And like, why did he come or why did he leave? She said, oh, Mom, he's a Mason. I go, what does that mean? She says, oh, those are the people who rule the world. And they demand utmost respect. And he just came here because his sister was getting married. I was like, how stupid of him to do that, by the way. But he did that. It stayed with me. I want to know who the hell these Masons are. And at the time, we didn't have any other means of research till actually my dad bought Collier's Encyclopedia. Now I'm in my 15, 16, around there. So I started reading. Then in school, they brought in Americana. Most of the new audience won't even know what these are. So those are encyclopedias that were at the time. So Collier's was one source. Americana was another source. So that was what I was going to do, and I wanted to join. And I got lucky, and one of the people who used to supply my dad with some material for our factories, he was wearing the ring, and I asked him, and he said, you can't join unless you're 21. So a day after my 21st birthday, I called him.
That's awesome.
I'm 21. But turned out to be an irregular lodge that I had to leave after a while, and then this was 84, 83, and I left when I found out that they're clandestine. They're not clandestine, they're irregular. But then I joined New York Freemasonry. I applied in 1988. So way back.
Gotcha. Right.
Anyway, that's the reason why I joined.
Well, you answered another question that was on my mind, is how do Masons identify themselves where you are? I know in America, everyone's got, the rings, or I love the guys that have the rings, the baseball hat, the polo shirt, tattoos. Is Freemasonry viewed as positive out in the public, or does it have its issues that we sometimes have here in the States?
Historically speaking, we were up and down. Before the civil unrest, civil war in Lebanon, before 1975, things were more open. We had ministers in the government that would say that they were Freemasons. We had people from all walks of life that they would say they're Masons. Then 1975 brought something very strange to the Lebanese, which was at the time the war started between the Lebanese and the Palestinians. Very quickly, it became a war between Muslims and Christians, and everything they could find, either to enhance their position as Christians or as Muslims, they used. For example, the radicalism became a big thing. If you join actually the Square and Compass, you just join them, and you get the Star of David. You're Israeli. So as a Christian now you have to defend yourself. Okay, no, I'm not an Israeli. I'm a Mason, and I'm Armenian. My faith is Armenian Orthodox. Like before I went and signed the first petition, I went to my church and I asked my patriarch. I said, "Is this
Hmm.
Do you know anything about Freemasonry? Am I going to get anything that's going to contradict my belief in Jesus Christ? And he said at the time, make sure it's a regular lodge,
Hmm.
right? And
Wow.
he's the patriarch of the Armenian Church. He's the guy who runs the Armenian affairs in the diaspora. So he's the Pope of the Armenian Orthodox Church, right? So I had nothing. I knew I was not gonna have any issues religiously. But some of the people in Lebanon, so the biggest religious faction in Lebanon on the Christian side, for example, is the Catholic Church. So the Catholics
Yep. Yeah.
have something against it. So what I'm trying to say is, after '75, people started kind of going low profile. Nobody's wearing rings. Nobody's putting any stickers. There are no signs on our lodge buildings, stuff like that.
Okay.
People who know. We kept it under the radar for the longest
Yep.
time. The younger generation is different. Like I always wore my ring. I didn't care. But you can't say that to other people. Now more people are coming out, and they're actually openly announcing their membership in the lodges. And just to let you
Interesting.
know, we do have members from all religions in Lebanon. And Lebanon, as small as it is, we have 17 registered in the government. 17 different religious factions. Okay?
Yeah, that's
You can
very.
start from Jews all the way to all kinds of small sects in Islam, or all kinds of small sects in Christianity. But we all have it, and we honestly have members from all of them. It's kind of cool. So it gives us more reason to celebrate, because every other day it's a holiday for one of them. So
Yeah.
it's
Well, I mentioned my wife is Syrian, but I think, she recognized we share a calendar on our phones, and she's like, "Who's Raffy Timonian?" She's also Armenian who lived in Syria, so she's like, "Oh, I bet this, I bet that." So she's gonna love the fact that I'm like, "Oh, and he's into fashion, and that's his family business." You're gonna have a new fan.
Let me tell you, we're in the ladies' fashion.
I can already hear the. I can feel my wallet getting smaller already, brother. But I love that about your area, and I want to visit because it seems to me, and that's one of the things that, like, if you live in the state of New York and you're a Freemason, go to New York City, you get that metropolitan feel where you have lodges that are, practicing our ritual in different languages, or brothers that across a very wide and diverse spectrum of life that you will meet in a Masonic lodge. Same thing. I live here in Northern Virginia, so I'm also in the Grand Lodge of DC. We have that same on a larger scale, a little bit more of an international flavor, and it does so much to like expand the perspective. It's I would say, as an American, and who has been there, it's the difference between seeing a picture of the Grand Canyon and actually getting to go stand on the rim and go, wow, this thing is big. Or for you in California, it's like getting a postcard of the beach in San Diego versus getting to go to Catalina and seeing just how amazing that creation is. What are some things that you have learned from these brothers and these men from other walks of life that now have kind of made their way into your daily practice?
Let me. There's a terminology that people use for mostly for California. It may be New York as well. They call it a melting pot, right? Meaning different cultures come and they melt into this one culture that's hybrid, but one culture. But we don't have that in Lebanon. Our cultures don't melt. Our cultures are alive, well alive, and that adds to the beauty and to the richness of the Lebanese society. Plus, it also look. I don't want to make it look all nice and dandy. It also comes with its difficulties, right?
Yep.
Because cultures fight. I'm right, you're wrong, kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it adds richness. And what is a lodge? A lodge is an example of the society, right? We are part of the society. So we bring that to our lodges. But the cool thing about the lodge is when you walk in, you leave the negative side. Now you're bringing only the good side, and I'm only seeing the good side. You and I are working on the good side so we can make the lodge better. And by making the lodge better, our small community, which is the house, your family, better. From there, your town, your city, and the country. So
Mm-hmm.
it all starts with something that I've been promoting in the last few years, the me. Most people say Freemasonry is this, Freemasonry. No, 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 no. Freemasonry is building me as a person.
Mm.
I also give example. The airlines. What do they tell you when they drop the oxygen? They tell you, put your oxygen first before helping. Your natural instinct, mostly if the person sitting next to you is your 2-year-old son or daughter,
Mm-hmm.
automatically you're going to grab it and you're going to help them. What's wrong? Because if they fight you, and they might, you might lose oxygen, you might die now, they're going to die too. So,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm trying to say is what we are working on in our lodges in Lebanon is strengthening the me, not the ego, the
Yep.
me, the strong me, whereby I can radiate energy, positive energy. I can radiate everything that Freemasonry teaches me. I can acceptance, tolerance, prudence, relief, help, all that in me. It has to radiate so my brother can take it. He needs to radiate as well, so we can take it to the community. That's what
Mm.
we're working on right now. So the misconception in Lebanon was that Freemasons are there to rule. Freemasons are there to help each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's natural for you to help your brothers or anybody else because Freemasonry teaches us that we are children of God.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a child of God, regardless of what other child of God is in his mind, if you see that person needs help, it's your moral duty as a human being under the fatherhood of God to help that person. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not your masonry that is doing that. It's you, and you are a Freemason.
Mm.
So
This is leading right up to the next question that I had. So thank you for outlining it that way because you wanted to be a Mason at age 9 and then eventually 21 were a new Mason. I started my Masonic career a little bit later on in life, in my mid 30s, but to the point we were both new at one point, and you put in a few years and then you start to become one of the quote unquote old guys. Right? You serve your lodge as maybe the master, or you're tapped on by the grandmaster to be on a committee or in a district or get involved with the leadership, and you really start investing into Freemasonry. And you get to this really unique thing, and it doesn't matter if you're a Freemason or just in any kind of community or group. You start to get passionate about that project, and you wonder, what's the future of this going to look like? What do you think the future growth is going to look like for the Grand Lodge of Lebanon? What do you see future men and Masons being like from your jurisdiction?
uh, there's a lot of potential. A lot of potential. What was restricting, so to speak, our potential for a long time was the status of the government in Lebanon and the
Mm,
different factions that were one way or another hindering the progress in the country. We have a new leadership elected, a new president who was elected in this past January 2025. We have uh, uh, we have a prime minister who served as the highest judge in. He was I think in the highest tribunal in the world, which is in Hague. Nawaf Salam, Dr. Nawaf Salam. He actually had to pull himself, had to resign from that position to become the prime minister of Lebanon. We have a group of ministers who are very energetic. So, if the country comes out of uh, the status that is in right now and opens up, we have a lot of potentials, and we have a lot of our members right now that had to leave Lebanon for economical purposes because there's not a lot of work. That's the reason why I spend more time in San Diego than I spend time in Lebanon, is because there's not much going on in Lebanon right now, economically speaking.
Mm.
So I think we have a lot of potential on the membership side, and because of their positions, they are attracting younger people. For example, one of the I'm not going to say names, but one of the leading engineering uh, institutions in Lebanon, hundreds of engineers. They are present everywhere, including Naomi in Saudi, in the Aqaba in Jordan, in the Emirates, and you name it. They have engineers working on some projects all around the world.
Mm.
They have affiliations with the United States companies, big companies. Uh, we have at least 10 of our members from their team. So these people are actually uh, bringing Freemasonry into their work through through them being Freemasons,
Hmm.
right? And they're radiating that. So potentially we're going to have a lot more from there. I'm just giving you a small example of what it is.
I love
We
where you're
do
going with
attract
this.
because Lebanon needs Freemasons, because we are a group of people who do not differentiate between sections, between sects, between ethnic or religious backgrounds. We don't care. We want to take you, the person who already understands the relationship between the human being and God, and the human being and the fellow human being. We don't take Freemasonry doesn't say we take men and make them good. It says we take good men, and
Mm.
make them better. So we have a lot of good men in Lebanon just waiting to knock on our door. As things settle down in the country, as the economy gets better, I think we're going to have more people knocking on our doors. We already right now have over. I was talking to I called the grandmaster. I said, if I get asked how many members do we have right now, what am I going to say? And then he says, well, we're hitting 400 right, very very soon. They have over 25 in the pipeline.
Hmm. That's
They
awesome.
have all the lodges. So they have over 15 petitions that the masters are considering to be read, and this is all in the summer. In the summer months they're closed. They go dark. They only do
Hmm.
social functions and you know stuff like that. The
Yep.
lodges actually start operating in October. Is come October, every lodge is going to have 3-4 petitions, other than the new petitions that are going to come. So which is kind of
Mm.
cool. Well, the potential is there, and we
Yeah.
are a solution because we represent the spirit of true Lebanon, beyond this hatred, beyond this civil unrest, beyond this give me, give me, give me, give me.
Yeah.
We
If
do
if you
represent. Freemasonry is a good solution for a country like Lebanon.
if you don't mind, most worshipful, can I get a couple minutes with you to talk about this? Because I got some extra questions I wanted to on this particular topic, if you're cool with it.
Sure.
So what I have found in my travels, and it's interesting, I was picking up on some of the keywords you mentioned: young, new Masons. I'm going to come back to that. What I'm finding at this point, which is really exciting to me, is that the craft is transforming. We're getting these new guys that are coming into our lodges who are intellectually curious. So they don't think they have life all figured out. They're asking the same questions that the rest of us in the room are there for. They want to be around people different than themselves. They are purposely putting themselves out there to expand their social circle, which is awesome. And the other key thing, however they're doing it, whether it's through sharing what they've learned with others, improving themselves personally, or the old fashioned getting out in the community and doing something, they're being called to this. They're answering this call to serve. They want to make a difference. They're all coming in going, what's my purpose? How can I do that? And I find that so special about, especially here in the States and even in Lebanon. You have extremists on both sides of issues. It's a very tense and difficult world at times, but yet you have this small band of men who all want to come together and be together and make a difference together. Can you talk a little bit about that, when why we are so excited when we have young or men who are older but are new to the craft come and join us?
Let me tell you something. So Grand Lodge of Lebanon, as a Grand Lodge, is a young Grand Lodge, right? 2018. So the lodges that were actually the founding lodges of Grand Lodge of Lebanon, they had elder members who were 30, 40, 50 years New York Masons.
Mm.
So, but keeping the district Grand Lodge of Syria Lebanon allowed us in Lebanon, and the relationship is awesome because at the end of the day, we're all New York Masons. We all start as New York Masons, so we have access to this huge pool of people of all ages.
Hmm.
So all the lodges, they every single meeting there is a lecture by a young guy who relatively young. I'm talking about young Mason who brings in some new topic, something he discovered, something he discussed with the master, whatever it is, some Masonic related, and then they bring an older gentleman who represents the history of Freemasonry in Lebanon, who has a lot more miles, so to speak, on him, right? So, for example, the guys from Shuf Lodge, they have people who can't even drive. They're like in their late 80s.
Hmm.
So they have it's not an option. They waive the fee. They send a car to pick up that brother, whether it's a lodge meeting or a lodge function, or the lodge is going to visit another lodge because of some other lodges having dinner, lunch, whatever it is that they have. So we do get all the people involved in this. The reason being is, like I told you before, we are a representation of our society. And our society is not just young people. We are attracting young people, yes, but young people are sometimes too fast in what they want.
Mm.
And these days, because of the computer technology, because of everything has to be in a split second, they have to hit enter and see a result. They need to learn that life is not like that. Life is not a hit and enter and see the result.
Right.
Some things I tell them, this is like planting a tree. You don't plant a tree today and expect to eat next year. You're going to have to wait. You're going to have to nourish it. You're going to have to learn what it needs. You're going to have to provide what it needs so you can benefit from it in the future. So there is this. We're trying to close the gap of the generation gap, and we are so lucky that we have a group of people who have been Masons for over 40, 50 years, and we do cherish them in everything. I mean, the older generation like titles more than the younger generation. The younger
Hmm.
generation, they don't really care too much. But the older generation, maybe when they get old, my age and older, they start looking for that. But right now, they're not. So we do have 50, we just like New York does, the 50-year pins,
Hmm.
the certificates, the titles, the respect, and we do that in front of their families. Like for example, I have a gentleman who I believe he is in his 63rd or 64th year as a New York Mason.
Wow.
He joined Grand Lodge of Lebanon as well. So when I was the Grand Master on his 61st or something like that, I had the guys bring the wife, and I took the lodge on a recess, and I brought the wife in,
Mm.
and we presented her, because what at the end of the day, the family is involved in your involvement, right?
Yeah.
If
Yep.
the family is not involved in your involvement, you're failing, because
Yep.
the first difference that you're going to make, other than you, is the people around you, your children,
Yeah.
your wife, your father, your mother, your immediate family. So it is important for those people to understand that we not only appreciate the husband who is the Mason, we also appreciate the opportunity that was given to the husband through the family.
Yep.
And this is something we're trying to set, so that the younger, I mean, how long am I going to be around? So when I
Yeah.
leave, I want to make sure that this tradition continues. Respect your people, because the reason why you are a Freemason today is because those people, throughout the 25 years of war in Lebanon, did not abandon Freemasonry, kept finding ways and places to meet as Masons. So
Mm.
we owe them our existence.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I appreciate you sharing that, and I'm right there with you on the same mindset. I when I was master of my lodge, I also had wives and partners stand up, and had everybody applaud them because of them being so generous by letting us have the time for that important man in their life, and wondering where's he going this night? Why is he blocking out this a whole day under to go to some part of the town that we live in that I've never heard of before, and he's going to go help people and folks never meet in life. And yeah, to your point, is a community, and we're builders, and I love it. I just got one more question for you, most worshipful,
sure.
before I let you go, and thank you again for being generous with your time. What's the global message that you want to share? We started out as a podcast that was really kind of a New York centric podcast, and with technology, we are now getting listeners all over the world. And thanks to you, we're going to have some in Lebanon. What do you want people to know about Freemasonry, not just in Lebanon, but as a fraternity?
I wanna explain it through an example. I consider myself the richest man in the world, not because I have money, because I have a house in almost every town or every city in the world. Who can do that other than a Freemason? You're with me?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah,
what I want the Freemasons in the world
that's
to understand
that is the
is,
most simplest way I've ever heard that put. That's amazing.
so I want all the Freemasons of the world to understand the richness of this, what we call values and principles of Freemasonry, because it is truly the essence of what, if we actually live it and practice it, it is what makes us human beings. It is what makes us better human beings, so we can make a difference in our societies. Not because we're wearing a ring, not because we're going to a meeting. I don't care if you go to a meeting or not. I want you to live as a Freemason. Remember that you're a Freemason every time you shake somebody's hand. Remember that you're a Freemason every time you hug somebody. Remember you're a Freemason every time you sign a contract, every time you travel. Don't talk to God when you are in trouble. Keep God in your heart and make a regular the conversation between you and God a regular thing in your life. A regular thing. It doesn't need to be in the form of
Hmm.
a prayer. Every time you talk to God is a prayer, and God is, Freemasonry taught us about fatherhood of God. So keep that in mind.
Mm.
Apply your values, and you're going to notice that you are the most important person in this whole world, because you can make a positive difference.
That's the best to go out on there. Thank you so much for being generous again with your time, giving us
My
some
pleasure.
extra minutes. Most worshipful, Raffy Timonian, past Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Lebanon, and now Grand Chancellor. Thank you so much for being our guest on the Craftsman